now. And I'll pop the slides up as well here so we have something to look at when I'm watching my screen. I do it. Great. Can everyone see my screen now?
Yeah.
Wonderful. Oh, and we lose the faces now. That's a bit of an annoying thing. Is everyone okay if we don't go into PowerPoint mode, just so we can see if anyone has questions and that sort of thing? Because if we go into PowerPoint mode, we lose seeing those eyes and we can't see when there's like a hand raised or a question or something like that. So sorry about that. Great, thanks so much everyone for dialing in. I'll just start off by doing the acknowledgement of country. I'd just like to acknowledge that we're meeting tonight on Aboriginal land because we are a nationwide network. We're meeting on different land across the country, but here in Sydney we meet on the land of the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation. So I'd like to pay my respects to the elders past, present and emerging, and acknowledge that this land is unceded, was and always will be Aboriginal land. So before we get into today's webinar, just because there might be some new people dialing in, I'm just going to do a quick technical setup briefing. A lot of you have used Zoom many times before, but just doing this so everyone's across it. This isn't on there, but can I ask everyone to just mute themselves just because there starts to be a bit of background noise, and just remember, if you do want to talk, to unmute yourself. If not, we'll just tell you that we can't hear you. The other things to know is the hand up feature. If you go, well, it depends on where you put your little desktop, but if you go into the hand up features, and if you go into participants, then there should be a little thing there to raise your hand. I can't do it because I'm the host, so hopefully that works. Someone has someone raising their hand. Oh yeah, Cara. Okay, great. Are you just practicing? Cool. Great, that works. Perfect. So you can always use that if you do have a question that is more urgent. If you want a question that can be answered at the end, we will have time for Q&A. Probably the best thing to do is put it in the chat box. So that is, let me just read my notes so I know where that is. You can chat us by clicking the chat feature on your little bar, and that should open out into a sidebar. So actually, if you go into more, the three little dots, and then click on chat, then it comes up with a group chat, and you have the option to chat everyone or chat like an individual person. So you can always put your questions in there, or if you're having any tech issues, that sort of thing, pop them in there as well. Generally, the person speaking comes up on the screen. It's pretty clever, so that's useful. So you don't have to kind of scroll through and find people. And then the last thing, if you do have any issues with stuff dropping out, you can use the chat box again, or that's my number because Monique's probably going to do most of the talking tonight. And I can sort of help, see if I can help you. No guarantees, I'm not as tech savvy as I'd like to be, but I will try. Great, that's it for tech setup. In terms of what we're covering tonight, so Monique is going to speak mostly, which is great. And Monique is our donor care and communications coordinator, and she's in the resource mobilization team, which is like more commonly known as the fundraising team. And in her role, she manages a lot of community fundraising and that sort of thing, and has lots of experience. So yes, we're very grateful for you to help us out on this tonight. And for Monique's sake, I guess we won't go around for like all chat chats, but we've got who we have: Sydney, Brisbane and Canberra here tonight, and a mix of like community leaders and state coordinators. Yeah, and we'll go through, I'll talk to you a bit about sort of where this webinar's come from and why we think community fundraising is important. And then Monique will talk about the Strong Women Challenge, which I'm sure you've heard a bit about already. And then we'll talk about types of community fundraising and how you can kind of do that, a bit of like an introduction to that. And then next step, and then there'll be time for some questions at the end. Cool. So In terms of where this webinar has come from, it was one of the things that a few of you flagged in like surveys and through anecdotal like, feedback on wanting to do some like local fundraising through events and that sort of thing, but also through like challenges, like doing like climbing Everest, for example, for those of you who are that active, and wanting to use that as an opportunity to like raise money for ActionAid. So we thought we would host a full webinar that kind of runs you through all of the things that you need to know about that. But we've also recognized, I guess, in doing this webinar, like some of the gaps in our policy and resources and that. So in the next steps, we'll talk you through like how we're going to work on this a bit more. But also, I think we've really been focused on campaigning and building our campaign skills. And we've never really offered a space to talk about community fundraising. So I think it's nice for us to also have the chance to learn something new. Cool. I'm going to say one more thing and then I'm going to hand it over to me. So in terms of, I guess, why community fundraising is important and why we've sort of taken the time to have a webinar on this and focus on this, I guess the first thing I would say is it's really good for us not to box ourselves in as we solely campaign and we only speak to our MPs, or we're only working on the fossil fuels campaign. I think we need to have like a holistic skill set as campaigners, and fundraising is definitely like a really important skill as a campaigner. So keen for us to grow that. I'm still learning myself, so I'm excited to hear what Nick has to say too. And then growing our resources. Obviously, as a not-for-profit, we work with very small budgets. Our organising budget is always small, and we do the best that we can with it. And we do, I think we do really great things with the money that we have. But the more fundraising we do means the more we can grow our resources and kind of achieve more across the organisation. And then the last one would be to challenge ourselves. I think I've done a bit of community fundraising myself in the past and used it as a way to be like, I'm going to run a half marathon, like I'm going to raise money for it and that sort of thing. It's a great opportunity to think about like what's that challenge that you want to do this year. It doesn't have to necessarily be physical, but it's a good way to kind of work towards a goal and get the support of like friends, colleagues and family and that sort of thing. So yeah, hopefully you're all excited about this, but I'm going to hand it over to Monique. It's just going to tell you about our signature challenge and then about fundraising. So over to you.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for the opportunity to come and chat to you all about fundraising. You know, putting these slides together, it was a really nice way for me to learn a little bit more as well about how ActionAid does things, as I'm new to the organisation. But we, as the fundraising team, would love to get more involved with our campaigners and have you join in on our Strong Women Challenge and get involved with community fundraising. So thank you, Liz, for having me, and all of you for having me tonight. I'll just start off by talking to you about our Strong Women Challenge. I'm not sure how much you all know, so I thought I'd just kind of start off with the basics and what the challenge is about. This is our second year running the Strong Women Challenge, and we're all really excited in the office about it to get involved. It's coming up very quickly. It's starting on the 5th of November and goes for 21 days. So I'll just run you through a little bit about the Strong Women Challenge and what that is. So it's a 21-day peer-to-peer strength and solidarity building challenge. So we're wanting as many of our ActionAid supporters to jump on board and fundraise for amazing strong women around the world on the front lines of humanitarian emergencies. We're asking our participants to build their personal strength while fundraising at the same time. It's an inclusive challenge. There's programs for beginners and intermediate and advanced levels, so we want everyone to feel like they can be a part of this challenge as well. And also we want our participants and campaigners and anyone who wants to be involved to really be a part of this online community and sharing their stories and their experiences and why they're passionate about the strong women that we work with. And we'll be we have set up a Strong Women Challenge page online, and we also will be setting up a Facebook group as well, just for those participants, so that we can share that together in a safe space. This is our website, so this is what it looks like. The link's up there at the top. We have more money raised than that now. I took this screenshot a couple of days ago, so yeah, people are already jumping on board and fundraising for us, which is incredible. It's very easy to sign up. How it works down here, you can sign up as an individual, or you can get your local groups on board and get a group together and fundraise as a team. Then you can complete the 21-day challenge and raise funds for our wonderful women around the world fighting injustice. So I'll just talk a little bit about what you can expect. So like I mentioned before, there's something for everyone in the program, so for beginners, intermediate and advanced levels. Also, each day of the challenge, you'll receive an email with a written explanation of what you'll actually be doing, but also it'll be accompanied by a video so that it's all there in front of you and you don't have to do too much thinking about what you've got to do. We'll have a professional fitness person who will be able to take you through those workouts. Also, for those who raise $100 before the challenge starts, we'll be able to send you a little incentive pack with everything that you need to do the challenge. And down here you'll receive emails, SMS and social communications, probably from me and my team. I'm there to support everyone every step of the way. So if you need anything, people can get in touch with me and I can support you with all of your questions, hopefully, but I'll find out if I don't know. Does anyone have any questions about, is this a good place to stop, just in terms of Strong Women Challenge? That was just a basic overview for you guys for our signature challenge and what we're doing in community fundraising. And obviously we're keen to have you all on board and get involved, but is there anything that any gaps that I've missed that you want to know more about in regards to that? Oh.
Chat. Do you fundraise in or stay with ActionAid Australia?
So the funds raised are unrestricted, so it will stay with the work that ActionAid Australia is doing, yes. Cool, thank you very much. Anybody else? You can, if you think of anything throughout the rest of the slides, feel free to ask us at the end. We will have time to go through some questions. But I'll jump into the community fundraising generally. This is an area that I'll be working on. It's part of my role and I'm really passionate about it, and I'm working on a toolkit that will, I guess, sit online and be there for people to use and access easily. I'll just take you through a bit of a step-by-step. Like Liz said before, if you feel like you want to climb Everest, that's, a great way to. I'll just quickly check this.
So the group option.
Yep. So hang on, just quickly. Good question here from Lauren. Does the group option just mean a shared goal, or is there a difference in the challenge? No. So the challenge will be the same. You'll just be there as a group, aiming for, I guess, a fundraising target and goal. You will have a page together as a group on the website where you can see who's donating to your group, and you can all post on that specific page on what you're doing and how you're going with everything. So I guess it just collates all of your experiences on your group page, but the challenge is exactly the same as someone who would be doing it individually.
All good. I think Canberra might be wanting to do it as a group. That'd be fun.
Absolutely. It's a great way to encourage each other and stay motivated. And I mean, get all of your, local community, friends, family, colleagues all on board to support you all. It's awesome. Just close that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I guess. Sorry, guys. So for the Strong Women Challenge, yes, all of the donations are made online on that specific Strong Women Challenge webpage. If it's a bit tricky. When people start giving cash donations and things like that, it's a bit harder to receipt. So we would be encouraging those to make a donation online. If it's a family member who would like to give you money, you might be able to take it and transfer it from your account if that helps. But we do normally want to encourage people to make that donation online so that they can be receipted and we go through the right process. So I guess with community fundraising, you can choose any event that interests you. I've just put a couple down here off the top of my head, but please don't feel limited by this list. There's fun runs and stuff like City to Surf or City Morning Herald half marathon that have pages that you can sign up to and attach us as who you would like to support. I'll talk a little bit more about that further down. So first up, choose an event that you're interested in or an activity. The next step would be reach out to me and have a chat about it. I'm here to guide and support anyone who is wanting to take part in community fundraising. So I've popped my email in there and I've got my contact details at the end of this presentation as well. Before you start fundraising, it's really important to request an authority to fundraise form from ActionAid. I've just popped down a couple of points here on what that means. So ActionAid Australia reviews and approves any publicity or promotional materials before distribution for your event. The ActionAid logo is only used with our prior permission. If you are using a receipt book, so if you've got a receipt book that you've purchased from a shop or that you're using for your fundraising, you should make sure that that comes back to us along with the funds, and I speak about it later in the presentation as well on how to do that. Speaking with us prior to approaching any corporate sponsors, no collection of one-off donations to be taken from anyone in a public place. If you're having a band night or something like that in a secluded location or like a venue of some sort, that's okay. But yeah, not hanging around on the street trying to take money from people like face-to-face fundraisers. That can't approve that. And that you will cover any associated insurance costs at that venue or with whatever activity that you're doing. Sorry, I won't read all of this word for word. It's very wordy, but you can go through and read it in detail a bit later on. But once you've been in touch with me, I can have a chat with my team and make sure that it's appropriate, and we will send you out an authority to fundraise form that we'll need you to sign and return back to me. I've got my email there again, and once we've got that paperwork, you're free to start your fundraising activity. We just need to make sure as well, I've popped there, that it meets our guidelines and the points that I read through before, that there's no perceived risk to yourself or anybody else involved, and that it doesn't risk our ActionAid brand. Right, setting up a fundraising page. So with Everyday Hero, it's fantastic. You can set up your own page. ActionAid has an account with them, so the funds do come directly to us. You can set up your event, you can set fundraising targets, and you can share the link on your social media. and send out emails, and it's a really clear place for people to come and see how much you've raised and support you. Hang on, I've just got someone chatting. Josie. Yeah, look, that's a great question. So Josie's just said, how would we be able to afford insurance? Look, I would take that into consideration when planning what event you would like to do. I
can probably answer that one
yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
If you're holding so our public liability insurance covers our volunteers as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so if you are holding an event and it requires public liability insurance, you can use ActionAid's one as well.
Oh, okay.
Sure. Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, that's something that I didn't realise. So that's great. Good to know.
Yeah, so just let me know and I can forward you that on. But yeah, we've used that in the past for things, so I'm sure it's
awesome. Oh, great question. Thank you, Josie. And I'm learning from this as well. So thank you so much. But yeah, I guess also just to continue on from that, with costs, and we were talking about budgets and things like that before, it's really good to think about that, I guess, when thinking about what kind of community fundraising you want to do and what event you would like to hold and the costs involved. You know, fun runs are a great idea because it's not an extra cost, I guess, for you to hold an event. It's you doing an activity. But yeah, it's just, I guess, forward thinking and planning, how and what works for you and your group. Another great thing about Everyday Hero is that it will generate a tax receipt for anybody who donates to you. Sometimes when we get big lumps of money, isn't that great? That would be one the dream. But when we get donations come into us, it's sometimes hard to separate those donations out based on what everyone has individually donated on the night of an event or the day of an event. So Everyday Hero kind of streamlines that for us and is really helpful. So another great reason to go with Everyday Hero for your platform. This is very straightforward, and I'm sure that you're all aware of it, but it's just, I guess, backing up that promoting whatever you're doing is really important. Use that social media. It's gold when getting, your event out there. And also just to mention, some workplaces do it. I know I've only worked in not-for-profits and our organisations can't do that, but other workplaces will match funds. Sometimes they'll double your efforts. Sometimes they'll match every donation. It's different, but it's worth asking if you have a great organisation that you work for that gets behind a good cause.
I have a question actually. Yeah. With like social media, using that, are there any tips for how to use that, like how to promote that with your friends? Is it just frequency or?
Yeah, look, I think reminding people time and time again, it's a very busy world and there's a lot of stuff on social media. So I think, reminding time and time again is a good idea. But, Instagram, if you're training for a marathon or if you're going to do a climb, involving them in that journey with you and really getting their buy-in, I guess. It's not, necessarily all about the money, but also sharing that experience with you and what you're going through. So, I guess change it up a bit, maybe not always going for the ask, but share what you're doing and why you're passionate about something. I think really works well, and storytelling is really important so that people can understand why you're so passionate about ActionAid and what you do and why you're part of this amazing community. I would say share the story as well as asking for. Does that answer the question?
Yes. Thank you.
This is just a little bit about if you don't have an everyday hero page set up, and sometimes that's not always possible, you could have, you know, a laptop at an event where people could go in and donate, but sometimes that's not always possible. So I've just popped down a few details here about how you can deposit funds if you're collecting cash on the night. I will also look in the toolkit that I hope to put online, a bit of a step-by-step on best practice for collecting cash donations. But at the moment, you can either make a direct deposit into our account, and there's also, if you would like to get a bank check or a money order and send that on to us, to our ActionAid Australia lockbag address. I've just got a little note here also on the bottom, just to note that if you are transferring the funds by direct deposit, just to let us know so that we can look out for it and make sure that we send out a tax receipt to yourself or the group that has fundraised for ActionAid, and also let our accounts team know just so that we can keep track of it. Also, just about how I can support. I mean, I'm here, you can get in touch with me, and I'm here to encourage you and support you how I can. Yeah, we can get that authority to fundraise form to you, which validates the authenticity of your event. I guess sometimes with events like, I guess, a run or a third-party event like City to Surf or a marathon, or if you're wanting to climb Everest, I keep going back to that and I'm like, that feels nice. Maybe I might do that one day. You might not necessarily need an authority to fundraise form. It depends, like, I guess, on the individual event, but it does help to have that. And I think that it's a good start in getting in touch with me and getting that first, just so that we can be aware of your event, and we've given you the tick of approval, and there shouldn't be any issues after that. So we can get that form for you. We can provide the logo, but also we just need to make sure that we're aware of where that's going out and how that's being used. And just with merchandise, look, we don't have a lot lying around in our offices, but we do want to support you. So we might have a t-shirt here or there, or you know, a money box or something like that that we might be able to support your event with. But definitely don't hesitate to get in touch and see how I can support you. Yeah, I've kind of rushed through that a bit.
No, that's fine. I think that's good because we've got lots of time for questions.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, maybe now's a good time if you guys have questions, or also I'd be keen to hear if people have like fundraising ideas, or if they want to sign up to the Strong Women Challenge, let me know so I'll donate to you. Okay, cool. Oh, this is a question. Okay, this is a good question because this is where I was going to talk about this anyway, so perfect segue. I'll answer this question, but have a think while I answer, and listen simultaneously, about kind of what types of community fundraising you might want to do as a group. Maybe we can use this space as a place to workshop ideas. If you've had, also we didn't do this at the beginning, but like, oh, maybe that would have been a good opportunity. If you have like community fundraising in the past, we'd be keen to hear about your experience with it and what you did and that sort of thing. But I'll just start with Jodie's question. So she's just asking around what about raising money to help meet groups' running costs, so hiring meeting rooms, that sort of thing. And what about uni groups who are required by the uni to charge membership fee? You don't expect us to send that in to you. Okay, they are great questions. So basically, in terms of the next steps, I'll just move to this slide. There's a lot of sort of fundraising policy that we're working through at the moment. So where we're sort of at with it is we've almost done now budgeting for certain groups, and the way it will work is that like different groups, depending if you're like a new group and you're smaller, or you're like a much larger group that's more well established, you'll have a different budget depending on your size and kind of how active you are. So we're just in the process of sort of finalizing that, and we'll probably have that next week. I was hoping to have it by today, but it's just sort of taken a little bit longer to finalise. And we'll have that by the end of next week. But at the moment, basically what it's looking like is for small groups, it'll be like $200 for the rest of the year, and for larger groups, $300 for the rest of the year. And then next year, that will be like, maybe it's $600 for a bigger group, but we've got to kind of look at the budgets again. But don't hold me to that, because we're still sort of tweaking it, and there'll be some guidelines around that and that sort of thing. But in terms of replenishing the budgets, basically, Monique and I have sat down and spoken about it, and I've reached out to other organisations like Amnesty and TIA and stuff, and tried to gauge like what their policy is on it, and have had very limited success. So we're in the process of drafting some policy around how that works. But I guess what our thoughts are at the moment, but they're not finalised, is potentially it'll be you can fundraise to replenish X budget that you have, and then the rest of the money will come through to ActionAid unrestricted. But then all of the money eventually has to come through ActionAid so we can manage the budgets and we have the transparency, because obviously as like a DFAT, an organisation that works for DFAT and we're accredited with the aid budget, we have a lot of, I guess, it's like a lot of auditing that goes on internally. So having that transparency is really important. So basically the answer in a roundabout way is yes, there will be a process and a policy in place soon that will really clearly articulate replenishing funds for your group and how you can fundraise for your group, because we recognise that that's really important. But it's just sort of figuring out the nuts and bolts around that. And then with the uni groups, if you're required to have a membership fee, this is a tricky one actually. The only thing I know is that, yeah, some uni groups have charged a fee, but then it's kind of been managed through like a student union bank account, and that sort of thing has happened, and that's like a separate thing to ActionAid. But do you know much about this at all?
Look, I don't, but we can definitely
might be a follow-up.
Look into it.
Let me write this down. Uni membership fee.
I was under the impression that, well, at Macquarie University, that the uni membership fees actually went to the committee. So the committee that was funding for the society. Sorry. So we have an Armenian society, and so you spend $10 on that. Actually, my impression was that it went to the society, not to the university.
Yeah. That's exactly right. Sorry to jump in, but that membership always stays with the society. It can't be taken by ActionAid. It can't go anywhere. That would be illegal through the university. If you're affiliated with the union thing, the money has to stay in a bank account for the association, and that can't be sent anywhere. Yeah. It has to be used by the, so for example, with ActionAid UQ, they have to make sure that they use those funds for their actual members. So whether it's, having an event, that sort of thing. But if they do fundraising, say they have an event that's widely promoted at UQ saying, we're raising funds specifically for ActionAid, that money has to be sent directly to you guys.
Okay, that makes sense. Because if they're giving funds towards the group for for it to be able to run, then it's not necessarily considered a donation, because it's for the running of that group, and they're getting something back from that. So that makes sense. Yeah.
And I think Josie just said as well, maybe keeping a cash book with the receipts, sending that to us. So that's actually something really useful for us to kind of think about as well.
Yeah, I think that's something that I need to look into.
Cool.
So all the unis, at least for example here in Queensland, with any financially functioning union affiliated group, has to have very thorough audit records, and at the end of every year, so they have to keep, they have to start a bank account that's run, through the union and all of that. And they have to also keep a very thorough accounting. So at the end of the year, they have to present that to the union, and they audit their books, and So everything is very accounted for, and that might be something that you guys may want those audits also given to you, if you may want that. But
no, that's great to know.
Yeah, no,
Thank
that's
you.
really useful. Thanks, you. Okay, cool. Okay, great.
Great. Awesome.
Cool. So anyone have any other questions on that for now? Okay, cool. And then I'd be keen to sort of hear, has anyone had any history with community fundraising that they want to share? Or does anyone have any ideas for future community fundraising that they want to share as well? Yeah, let's go through. No? I can share my experience. Get us started. Yeah, so a few years ago, I wasn't working full time, so I had the time to dedicate to training. I don't think I could ever do this again. But I signed up for a half marathon and decided to use that as an opportunity to raise money for Beyond Blue, the mental health organisation. And yeah, what did I do? So I started posting. I started training with a friend, and that's why I sort of asked that social media question, because you answered, and I was like, oh, that's kind of what I did. And I posted like my runs and like my progress and that sort of thing. And then I was like, maybe this wasn't allowed by Beyond Blue, but I did bake sales and brought them into like where I was interning at the time and raised money that way. And I held and then I eventually took that money and then donated it from my own account because I wasn't sure how to do that.
I think that, I mean, it's another form of community fundraising within your community fundraising. And I guess it's just, being transparent that the funds that you raised from the bake sale were going to that. That's another awesome idea to raise funds.
And I love cakes. Yeah, totally. Yeah, I made vegan cakes. And then I also held like a big dinner. So I basically invited people over for like a big dinner, and I cooked for like a group of like 20 friends, and then I had a laptop and I said like donate like the cost of your meal and that sort of thing, and my parents were nice enough to cover the costs of the food at the time. They saw the pain I was going through trying to run every day, and I ended up raising like over $1,000 through community fundraising. So I'm a big advocate for it. And then I'm never, ever, ever running a half marathon ever again. That's just sort of like one way of doing it. Having your friends, I guess, come around for a dinner or a bake sale or that sort of thing is what's kind of worked for me. Yeah. Other people done? I'm sure other people have done community fundraising on here, just being shy.
I've done the 40-hour famine before.
Yeah.
And when we did that, we were given like a little receipt book.
Yeah.
So if we do take a cash donation, say at a bake sale or something similar, is it imperative that we give them some kind of receipt, or do we just...
So at a bake sale, or I guess in a situation where they're getting something in return, it's not necessary to write them a receipt for that because they're getting something in return.
Okay, all right. So, I didn't know that was that difference. Okay.
That's all right. This is, a great forum to have those chats. So if, they were coming, I know that in Adelaide there was a bear night, and has it happened yet? Tomorrow?
It's soon. Yeah, it's very soon.
They're organising an awesome, a bear night where they'll be talking about the work of ActionAid, that they're going to have people, the option for people to donate at the door. So I've said that if someone's donating more than $2, then we should offer them a receipt. So I think that having a receipt book is a really good idea, and I'll make sure that we're looking to getting that so that we can send them out to people and have a clear process on how we take those funds, and that we're being transparent with that. So it's a good takeaway for me.
Yeah, this is useful for us. else? Where's Canberra gone? There's one thing here that's Canberra. Okay, cool. Any other questions? Oh, we're still here. Hi, Canberra. Just the blank number. Canberra, do you have any questions? Oh, the laptop died. Oh, no. Do you have any questions around community fundraising, or are you all signing up for the Strong Women Challenge as a group?
Everyone get on board. If you can. No pressure. And if you have any questions that you think of later, or you know, it's a bit different to something that we've discussed here tonight, but it's in regards to fundraising, please don't hesitate to get in touch with me at any time. Even if I don't know the answer because I'm new, I have a great team of fundraisers around me who have worked here for a long time and can also offer that support. So yeah, please don't hesitate to get in touch.
Cool. Excellent. All right. Well, I think no more questions. Okay, cool. Well, in terms of, I'm just going to close this group chat. In terms of the next steps, so do you want to speak a bit about fundraising?
Yeah, look, I'm wanting to make it easier for people to support ActionAid. So I'm looking to get an online toolkit together that'll have, you know, examples of letters that you can write to organisations to get on, I mean, you know, workplaces to get on board, Facebook tools that you can pop in your profile photo, and, you know, lots of little bits and pieces, email signatures, step-by-step guides, everything that you can think of to support community fundraising. I'm wanting to get together and put into this toolkit so that, yeah, everyone's clear and that we're doing everything to support, I guess, our fundraisers and supporters of ActionAid. So, look, we understand that we don't necessarily have that toolkit together yet, but it is something that we're working on and hope to get up and running soon. So
cool.
I'm on it.
Excellent. And then the other thing as a next step for us, I guess, is we spoke about this already, but creating that fundraising policy. We've really acknowledged that there's a bit of a gap there in terms of kind of, I guess, the network's evolving at a faster pace than our policies are. So we've got a bit of catching up to do in the next couple of weeks in writing that and getting that approved and run past the board and all of that sort of thing. But hopefully I'll be talking with you, at least national leadership team, about how that's going to play out and getting some feedback from you on that as well. Great. Will this webinar be available online to send to the group? Yes, it definitely will be available. There are a few people who couldn't come tonight, so I always record them and put them online, but obviously they're always live because you have the chance to ask your questions and that sort of thing. Great. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen now, but that's pretty much it for, yeah, so that's pretty much it. So at the moment, while we don't have the fundraising policy in place, like, I guess money that is fundraised is still, apart from that is going towards the uni membership. If you are holding a fundraising event, that money will be sort of unrestricted for ActionAid Australia until we kind of figure out how fundraising for your local group will work. But hopefully that will sort of be, that process will be ironed out, I guess, in the next couple of weeks. It's just taking us a bit longer than expected. We thought someone surely has this resource out there, and apparently not. So we are reinventing the wheel, well and truly.
Figuring it out.
Yeah. Great. Well, thanks everyone for coming. Wish I could see all the Canberra people's faces, but hopefully you learned something new, and this is a nice sort of introduction to fundraising, and we'll share this webinar with you and share the next slides with you as well. Any final questions or comments?
I'd like to sign up to the Strong Women Challenge.
Yeah.
Woo! We've got our
Yay! Where do I go?
Very excited.
Where do I go?
Yeah.
I'll do it with you, Sasha, as well. So
Yay!
It's so exciting. Thank you. Yep, so if you go to Oh, it is in the slides of all. That's right, wasn't it too? But if you just type in Strong Women Challenge ActionAid into Google, it will come up, and we've got the new website up and running. I can type it in.
Oh yeah,
there we
Kara's,
go.
I'm on it.
Great, thanks, Kara.
Yeah, and if you get stuck on anything, you shouldn't. It is straightforward now that we've got the new website up and running. But if you get stuck, please don't hesitate to touch base with me.
Cool.
I look forward to doing the challenge with you. I'm going to do it.
I think I'm going to do it as well. We're just saying, I was like very cocky before. I was like, I'm going to do the advanced version. Do 20 push-ups on your toes. I'm like, oh, thank you, the beginner. That looks terrifying.
It's a good challenge for every fitness level.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Good
start.
opportunity to get fit.
Yeah.
We're going to be really buff after.
That's awesome to have you guys on board, and we can share our experiences, hopefully.
Yeah. All right. Well, lovely to see all of you, and thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me, making me feel welcome. Sorry if it was a bit rushed. But
I'll see you soon, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.